Greetings viewers, Nadiah here with another video for all of you. Pets are great, right? An adorable animal companion you can share your life with. Cats and dogs are the usual choice for pets. However, every now and then they'll say, you know, this bunny is great, but you know what would make a really great pet? A Wolverine! This is normally someone who has more money than they know what to do with, and too little common sense, just thinks exotic animals look really cool, and will end up making the worst mistakes of their lives. The animal either escapes domestication, or is thrown into the wild when people trying to take care of the uncle they got from Craigslist. It's just way too much effort. What I'm gonna do here is adopt a few animals and explain why they would make absolutely terrible pets. Starting with the greatest lie that the Harry Potter franchise ever told anyone is that owls are gonna be good pets. All those little online videos are adorable. I also ignore the fact that owls are used to wide spaces they can fly around in. Owls, after all, are hunters. Even hawks and eagle chicks are potential prey. Hey. Eagle owls eat other owls if given the chance. There are also reports of owls snatching away someone's pet cat or little dog tonight, so that's something that you want to avoid. Lastly, is the fact that most places would require you to be in possession of a permit to keep an owl, since the ownership of owls as a pet is legal in the United States, as well as most countries. If you really like owls that much, might I suggest this nice clock? Or on the subject of Harry Potter, I'll never understand why people want to keep snakes as pets. One of my cousins had a pet well constrictor named Fluffy, and as cool as that was, I was perfectly glad with her being in her own glass container. Now, to be fair, pythons and boa constrictors are arguably safe to be around, as long as they've had their meal for the month, and don't give them a reason to think you're gonna hurt them. It's also advised to avoid putting your hands anywhere near their face, because they may mistake you for some kind of threat. Your fingers would make a nice little snap. But I really don't get why some people keep venomous snakes as pets. Sitting in Texas, one of my worst nightmares has always been that a rattlesnake might get into the house somehow and bite someone. I don't know how venomous a rattlesnake is. Their venom is lethal if not treated promptly. A snake charmer is trained enough to avoid the quick strike of a cobra, but the same can't be said of the average Joe. Its venom is full of neurotoxins. It can cause paralysis and eventually death if the victim is left untreated. You could argue that there are videos of pythons interacting with children. It's not harming said child. And cobras do this thing called a dry strike because they don't want to risk wasting venom, something they can't eat. But why are you letting your kid around a potentially dangerous reptile? Hey, if you're not a snake person, how about a lizard that weighs 200 pounds? There's no record of anyone keeping a pet Komodo dragon, probably because even an emo goth kid would understand that that would be leading death into the front door. Like all monitor lizards, Komodo dragons have venom that, when paired with a mouthful of bacteria, makes being bitten by one pretty much always be a death sentence, including going into shock and blood clotting. It isn't a question of if you'll die if this giant gecko bites you, but when. They go after deer, water buffalo, even livestock. They'll even eat beach dolphins and eels, and can even crunch through a sea turtle's shell. And while they normally don't go after humans, they have been known to dig up shallow graves and feed on the corpses. Continuing on with the reptile thing here, alligators and crocodiles. Mad chirping when their babies is adorable and all, but we all know what happens when these little cricket crunchers eventually grow up. At least that's what people were said to have done. They started to get too big to take care of. Never mind that alligator farms are a thing. What do alligator farmers do with their alligators? I think I hate having asked. I've seen a few videos of weirdos taking their alligators to Petco, and just gotta question what that particular trip was like for other people. Jokes aside, alligators and crocs are amongst the most dangerous animals out there. Yeah, they look like they're sluggish on land at first, but when they decide to actually get up and start moving, you'll be terrified at how fast they actually are. That's nothing to say of the feeding frenzies. These things aren't designed for cuddles and unconditional love. They're designed for survival and always have been since the time of the dinosaurs. They seem to move once they got their jaws locked down on something, is to roll until they tear off a piece of flesh. Well, thanks, Gustav. I always wanted a pet I could cosplay as Captain Hook with. Now, while this next animal doesn't have a venomous bite and isn't likely to try and eat you, it'd still make a bad pet. The Barbarossa from Indonesia isn't your typical pig. One, the males have an extra pair of tusks piercing through the tops of their snouts. Unfortunately for them, this ain't just some sort of weird feature, since they need to wear the tusks down either by rubbing them against tree trunks or breaking them off during fights. You may ask why. Because if they don't, the tusks will keep growing until they eventually penetrate the skull and puncture the brain. Yeah, God has a cruel sense of humor. Imagine having to intentionally break your teeth every day, or else they'll eventually kill you. I'll just get a girl Barbarossa. And that'd be a way to avoid the heartbreaking premature death of a pet. But your apartment or backyard wouldn't be the best place for her, considering that these pigs live in swampy jungles and wetlands, where they can hide from predators while looking for fruits and leaves. If you really want to be with your dear little deer piggy that much, then you're free to become the local swamp hermit, or be prepared to turn your precious pet into bacon when he dies from literal brain damage. With a kick strength that can knock back a man holding a shield, a blunt beak, and savagely sharp talons, or claws, or whichever they are, a cassowary is as dangerous as it is colorful. Those claws I mentioned, they can rip someone's stomach open, as a 75-year-old man found out firsthand, and his pet cassowary attacked him. Don't know why it happened, but it could be that the cassowary felt that he was intruding into what it felt was its territory. Don't go thinking that a female cassowary might be easier to manage than a male, since the girls are bigger than the boys, standing at around 6 feet. Despite their size and rather awkward posture, I mean seriously, how do they just not fall forward? Like their cousins the ostrich and emu, cassowaries are terrifyingly fast, running at the speeds of 31 miles an hour. Encounters with cassowaries are somewhat rare, since they hang out in the rainforests of Australia, and they happen it's a good idea not to make any sudden movements, or back away slowly while the killer bird is sizing you up. Encounters aren't always bound for disaster though, since cassowaries will exhibit more curiosity than aggression. Do you really want to take that chance? If you've ever enjoyed watching zebras in the circus or at the zoo, I'm about to ruin that for you, because I'm a bastard like that. They're nicknamed the tiger horse. They're actually more related to the donkey and its kin, and if you know how bad Nestor can really be, you probably don't need me to tell you why that's a problem. Armies have taken to using donkeys to protect their sheep and goats, and that's because donkeys will stop anything that looks like a coyote that comes too close, due to its instincts saying it had to do anything it can to protect itself from becoming a meal. Zebras are the same way, as they've been known to bite and kick not just predators, but other grazing herbivores, members of their own herd, or their handlers if they get too close for comfort. Think about that the next time you think about adopting a zebra foal and naming it Sakura bronies. There are actually reports of zebras biting their handlers because they still sense everything around them to try to make a meal of them, so they need to bite before they can be bitten. Now, that isn't to say that a zebra can't be trained to do tricks, but it takes years of training to do that. You can't let yourself be fooled into thinking that they're 100% comfortable around other animals or even people. So I'm not gonna make friends with this 2-for-1 segment. Koalas and pandas are indeed two of the dumbest animals on Earth. At least the dodo ate rocks because they were meant to help with digestion, but apart from just not starving to death, there's little benefit that the koalas and pandas get from their diets. Koalas eat up to 200 to 500 pounds of eucalyptus a day, and pandas eat up to 26 to 28 tons of bamboo a day. While we can argue that bamboo may give pandas some energy, same really can't be said about koalas and their exclusive diet, since eucalyptus leaves have little nutrition. The worst part is koalas can and will eat different kinds of leaves. They just prefer the kind that they're known for chowing down on. That's just the food. There's also the aspect of breeding, and while the fact that koalas have chlamydia could make just being around them unappealing, they are passing off sexually transmitted disease to each new generation. Why did people try to save these things again after the wildfires in Australia? Oh right, they're supposedly cute. Right. Pandas don't have to worry about getting chlamydia though. That's because pandas in captivity are seriously uninterested in reproduction. Ace people have had more sex than pandas you see in the zoo, but it isn't that great in the wild either, due to male pandas being notoriously bad at rating signs as to whether the females are or aren't in the mood. Oh, there's also the fact that, cute as they may be, as adorably as the cubs are lucky enough to be born and not be squished by their oblivious parents in viral videos, pandas are, you know, still freaking bears. Going back to the koala, I'm convinced drop bears became a thing, so that koalas will appear way more interesting than they actually are. Please, this ends this segment. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, I intended to make this about exotic animals, but that Pug King housemate I mentioned in an earlier video insisted I put those adorable little pigtailed pups on this list. Pug is basically what happened when humans took the majestic wolf and squished and crushed and shrunk it down to a form that is unrecognizable. Squished in face causing breathing problems are well known, but pugs have other health issues. Because they're such wrinkly little goobers, their folds need to be cleaned daily, or else they might risk infection from bacteria, and because like all dogs, pugs are prone to poking their little faces in wherever they please. They also might risking all kinds of eye conditions. They also shed like crazy due to having 2 coats of hair, which also means you can't really take them for an afternoon walk, or else they'll cook like the little mutated hot dogs they are. So you better get ready to take a walk easily in the morning. The sun is just coming up, or even before the sun has risen. You'd better also really be a dog person, because a pug that feels neglected will become lethargic and depressed. No one wants a doggo to become depressed. While the pug isn't as bad as the other animals I've talked about so far, it's still got a lot working against it. At least the Chihuahua.
Bloodlust.
A Galapagos may not be dangerous, but would you really want one for a pet though? If you thought koalas and pandas went through an insane amount of food a day, the daily diet for a Galapagos tortoise is 8 pounds of grass, fruits, nuts, berries, and the occasional crustacean. Now that's a lot of food for something that doesn't go anywhere all that fast, and doesn't really do all that much. You better have a pretty unkempt backyard you can just let roam around in all day. Otherwise, you get ready to have a really expensive food bill. Chimpanzees. That really should be all I need to say, and a lot of you should know why. While these apes can be trained to perform for movies and TV, they're also as violent as they are intelligent. Did you know that chimpanzees have taken to attacking families of gorillas and seeing the babies to eat them? You aren't even safe from the violence even if you're another chimp. Since the family groups have a hierarchy, where the bottom of that totem pole can be attacked for whatever reason, whenever. For the life of me, I have zero clue why people thought they could fully domesticate something that can rip off faces, tear off limbs, and will even gnaw off genitals. Especially considering the most notorious story of a chimp brutalizing humans. Actually, there are several, so again, zero clue why anyone thought they could turn these things into pets, given how randomly violent they can be. Well, I guess where you can find tigers other than India?
Texas!
It's true! For whatever reason, tigers are really popular in the Lone Star State, specifically with people with more money than sense. Estimation of how many tigers kept as pets ranges from 2,000 to 5,000. Are you freaking serious? What the fuck's wrong with you people? What's wrong with a short hair or Siamese or a Persian if you really want to brag about having a special breed of cat? But you want to live dangerously by owning the animal that not only partly inspired the manticore, but caused the natives of India to wear masks on the back of their heads because they thought a tiger wouldn't attack prey that was facing them. Trust me, even if you think it'll be safer if you raise your tiger from a tiny little cub, you won't be. Sooner or later, instincts will kick in, and your overgrown Garfield will be looking at you or any other pets you have around the house. A tray of lasagna. Even if the attack isn't out of hunger, a tiger is still at the very core a wild, unpredictable animal that won't play house pet forever. Why don't people get this? With any exotic animal, they aren't like Pokemon and will instantly become your best friend forever just because you caught them in the middle sphere. As awesome as that would be. Look, I get the animals that I talked about are cool and everything. A lot of them are also wild animals at heart and shouldn't be kept in your house or apartment. Except pugs. But even then, if you want all the love and of the health issues, get a retro pug. This is Night saying thanks for watching and please share your thoughts with me.